Welcome back, gentlemen. Today we've got a fun one. We're finally on to biceps and triceps because who doesn't love arms? We got through all the other exercises just because we had to, but now we're on to arm day. So it's all only uphill from here. It's more exciting. So basically, first we're going through your standard bicep curls, and it's amazing how many people get this wrong. Okay, so I really want you to listen to this part particularly because it's super, super important. What we're going for when you're doing bicep curls and tricep extensions is not lifting the weight. By no means are we attempting to have you lift the weight. What we are doing is we are opening and closing the elbow joint. Okay, I'm going to say that again. I want you to listen to that again. We are not trying to lift the weight. We are trying to fully open and close the elbow joint. If more people understood that, we would have a lot more people walking around with a solid set of arms. Okay, so you'll see here in the background, we've got a lot of just me doing bicep curls basically. But the important things that we're looking for here is you'll see that at every rep, I've got full elbow extension followed by full elbow flexion. In this last clip in particular, the standing or the incline bicep curls here, you can see my goal is to bring and clamp my forearm to my bicep throughout the movement. Okay, I'm not trying to lift the weight. As soon as you lift the weight, you're going to start to bring in your chest, your delt, your traps, all these other muscle groups that are going to be much more effective at lifting the weight. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bring your forearm, the bone of your forearm, to the bone of your upper arm. All right. So one quick little tip with that is just keep an eye on your wrist position. Okay. Because when we're doing that, we don't want you to completely curl the wrist in. We want you to keep a nice neutral wrist. And when you do that, you'll put your, or even slightly cocking that wrist back a little bit, will put you in a really good position to push your forearm to your upper arm. Okay. I just want to get that out of the way because it's a big pet peeve for me. Now let's have a look at some of these actual variations. So your first one here is just your standing bicep curl. Okay. We're holding a supinated grip throughout. I'm leaning forward slightly from the hips and I'm focusing on that again, opening and closing of the elbow joint. If the elbow comes forward in front of the body a little bit, that's okay, as long as you're fully clamping that elbow. Right, now you'll notice in all of these variations, if I'm holding a supinated or an underhand grip, if I'm doing that at the start of the movement, I'm also doing that at the end of the movement. I really don't like rotating my wrist throughout the movement. A lot of people will claim that that's quote unquote the function of the bicep, and it is from a overall movement standpoint, but from an actual hypertrophy or muscle growth standpoint, that doesn't actually mean that that's what we want to do. Right? When you're letting that wrist rotate, going into the supinated, or sorry, neutral position at the bottom, supinated at the top, you're actually taking tension off the bicep at the bottom of the movement. And that is not what we want for muscle growth. Okay, so in all of these variations, you'll see I've got a supinated grip throughout the entire movement. And you'll feel when you do it properly and go into that full elbow extension, that the supinated grip provides a lot more stretch at the bottom. All right, so if we jump back to the start of these clips again, we've got your standing curls here, both dumbbells at the same time, nice full range of motion, no cheating throughout the movement. All right, moving then into a single arm curl. Now, I really, really like single arm curls, but personally, I don't like alternating. You know, I don't go my right, then my left, then my right, then my left, because I find that you take tension off the bicep. You're resting one arm while you're training the other. Okay, there's only a few exercises where we do that. It's lunges and bicep curls, alternating bicep curls, and it really doesn't make a lot of sense. I like to do my standing curls or any kind of bicep curl, one arm at a time. Amazing, really good way to make sure you're focusing on hitting the muscle hard, but hit one arm first, finish your set, then go on to the other arm. Okay, that's my personal preference. If you want to alternate, you can, but try these first, and I think you'll get a much better pump. You won't get as many reps, you won't move as much weight, but you'll get a lot better quality reps. Now, this is one that I really, really want to talk about. You should, in my opinion, always be looking to train the biceps in the lengthened position, and at least once a week, at least once or twice a week in that lengthened position. Okay, nothing wrong with the other variations, but this is probably going to be your primary movement making sure that you're stretching the bicep. That means that we want your elbow to be slightly behind the body. Doesn't need to be a lot. You can see here, I've only got a slight kind of 65 or 75-degree lean back, but that's enough if you're keeping a nice wide chest to fully lengthen the biceps. All right, now looking at another couple of variations I really like here. These are going to hit the biceps through their different positions. So we've got the spider curl here, lying supported on a bench. And this is going to really overload the shortened position for the biceps. Okay, the incline curl that we showed you before is going to hit the lengthened position. The spider curl here is going to hit the shortened position. Now, a preacher curl bench, which is what I'm using for balance in the video on the right there, if you're doing a preacher curl over that bench, that's still going to overload that mid to shortened position. So that's a really good variation as well. Here, I'm just using the preacher curl to stabilize my body in a position that kind of mimics that incline dumbbell curl position, overloading the mid to lengthened position that I showed you before. Okay, now on top of this, I'd look at probably throwing in some hammer curls, so neutral grip curls. Potentially even some overhand or reverse grip curls every now and then. But these variations that I'm showing you here, the spider curls, the preacher curls, the incline curls, I think they should be the main kind of bread and butter of your bicep training. The only other exercise I would probably consider throwing in is some cable curl variations. Can be very, very effective if done correctly. All right, so amazing. From there, we're going to move on to triceps. Now, similar things apply for your triceps. So making sure that you are not lifting the weight, you're fully opening and closing the elbow joint. So that looks like these reps that you can see here, focusing on a full range, almost trying to hyperextend my elbows at that bottom position and fully stretching the triceps in the top position. Now I've got a slight lean forward here from the hips, and I'm making sure that my shoulder blades are staying pretty neutral throughout the movement. As soon as the shoulder blades start moving around, we'll bring in other muscles. We'll bring in your chest and your lats. It's not really what we want. Like I said, for your bicep curls, training that lengthened position is going to be really, really useful. So one of the best ways to do that is by taking them into a stretch in an overhead position here. Now, you can do this a couple of ways. Here, I'm kind of using my butt basically to clamp onto the pole. You may not want to try that variation. I like this variation gives you a lot of stability, but you can also set the cable to its lowest pulley and then take a couple of steps forward, and then you'll be in a more upright position, kind of stretching in that overhead position. That's another variation that I'll usually do most of the time, to be honest. Okay, again, you'll notice working on that full stretch, full lengthening and shortening of the triceps. When you're doing this overhead work, do not let your hands touch each other. Okay, a lot of people will think that they're getting really, really strong through this movement, but they'll actually just be scraping their knuckles or pinning their knuckles together the whole time. And it's a really good way to cheat that movement by putting you into an artificially stable environment, basically. Keep the hands apart. And ideally, the longer rope attachment is going to be even better, or one hand at a time, just holding onto the cable. Just be careful. You can even see for myself with this rope attachment that I'm using, it's kind of forcing me to just kind of get pulled in across my body. So if you can get a longer rope attachment or single arm, is actually my preferred variation on this anyway. Now, dumbbell skull crushers are a really, really common one. These ones are really, really good. It can put a little bit of stress on the elbows. So make sure you're starting light, getting those high reps in, getting yourself accustomed to these kinds of movements. But you'll see that even though I'm letting my elbows come back behind the body, I'm not letting them to come too far towards my hips or towards my feet. And that's because anything above the head is going to put me into that stretched position for the triceps, which is going to be really good for creating muscle growth. As soon as we bring the dumbbells lower than the shoulders, we're going to be taking tension off the triceps completely. Okay, so this next variation is a little bit more advanced, but it's something called a rolling tricep extension. And I really wanted to put this one in there just to show you guys what it looks like to fully let those triceps stretch out. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that you do this variation, but I just wanted to show you that where it's actually quite good for the tricep to go through that stretch position at the bottom. Okay, now these ones take a little bit more skill and execution because it's very easy to bring your back into this to cheat the movement. But as long as you're focusing on, again, you'll hear me say this a million times, but that opening and closing of the elbow joint, you'll make a lot of gains. You'll put on a lot of muscle. You really start to have a nice solid set of arms to throw around next time summer rolls. All right. Nice quick one today, guys. Hope you got some value out of that. I would love to hear how you guys go with this, how you go applying this in your own training, and if you can feel the difference when you start focusing on that elbow joint rather than just trying to lift the weight, rather than just trying to get a pump. All right. Look forward to it. Chat to you guys next time.